Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Hall. I'm currently Vice President of Research and Culinary Development for South Bend, a chef, a culinarian by trade. And now I do the R&D side of the profession after spending about 23 years in private country clubs and restaurants and a couple hotels as well. Well, for me, it's an ever-changing target that we're trying to hit. I think the greatest thing about our profession is that we're able to be creative. That it is the service industry, so I like making people happy. I like to exceed their expectations, and that's a big payoff for me. And seeing that reward day in and day out is kind of an exceptional thing. You think about other professions. My father, who's a mechanical engineer, for instance, it might be months or years before the fruits of his labor today pay off in a project, and we see that gratification come back daily through dinners and the other things that we're involved in. It's a lot of work, but it's also a big reward and a quick return to the fruits of our labor. That's really dependent on what avenue you take. The cool thing about this industry is now there's so many different avenues to go into. So it's not just about being a chef over a stove anymore. There's research and development, there is processing, there are commissaries, there's a lot of science-based cooking that's out there as well. So the thing that all those have in common is learning and mastering the fundamentals of cooking. So if that's sauce making, if that's understanding the reaction that heat has to different proteins or vegetable, and all of those fundamentals that someone learns in culinary school, the mastery and the understanding of developing those into a process is what the building blocks are to become a chef in some way, shape, or form. So, it really depends on what type of avenue you're going to go down, and most people, when they go into culinary school, they don't know that yet. So the big thing is study hard and pay attention, but then also find a very, very valuable mentor when you get out of culinary school. Look for that educational payoff within your first few jobs as well. Who's going to take you as far as you can go? It's not always about finances. Those things come down the line once you make a name for yourself or really get into what your niche is going to be in this market, because it's ever changing, and even now more so with the way that the industry is. It's a little bit difficult of a question, but I think that working those fundamentals, having a game plan, and then finding mentors who will take you to the next level. I always chose to work under certified master chefs. That was a goal of mine from a very young age, was to become a certified master chef someday. So I positioned myself to work under certified master chefs. I knew what kind of knowledge I was going to get, and I knew that would eventually lead me to taking the exam myself. Yeah, I think there's always a little bit of a misconception with that. I remember back when I went to culinary school in 1995 and them telling us we were going to, be making whatever it was back then, $20,000, $30,000 in a few years. And that wasn't the case. You really got to put yourself in a position that you're going to stand out. What are you going to do to stand out amongst the sea of chefs and culinarians that are out there? Is it your drive? Is it your motivation? Is it your passion for what you're doing, that you're always looking to grow, that you're always looking to move to that next step? And so, this day and age, an entry-level person, could be anywhere from $12 to $21 an hour, depending on where you are in the country. Obviously, cost of living is in there too. Corporate places pay a little bit better. So country clubs, which is where I spent the majority of my years, the benefit to me there was it wasn't a really high dollar wage when I was a cook, but they gave me health insurance. There was continuing education that was available. There was 401k, things that restaurants typically don't do unless they're a part of a restaurant group. And so those things were important to me, and so because a place provides those other avenues of income, your pay might be a few dollars less. So where does it benefit you? Do you feel comfortable just having $18 an hour, but no health insurance and no 401k savings or anything like that. Maybe at a young age you do, but as you progress, maybe that becomes an important stepping stone for you. And so those things, become questions that you definitely want to ask off the bat, even coming straight out of culinary school. What's the, how does my PTO work? How does vacation work? How long do I have to be here before I can earn a 401k? And what's the employer match? Those things were important to me from the get-go. So country clubs provided that. They gave me continuing education. We had a lot of freedom, multitude of different things. And so the salary really depends on what avenue, again, you're gonna go into, but I think that's a fair range from getting right out of culinary. The big thing is getting ready for that service every single day. So raw product comes in the storeroom every day. It has to get managed, butchered, fabricated, sauces started, and all those processes all the way to the final product that's going to go on a plate. So from learning, I'll be honest, like when I brought in a cook, I made them, work in the storeroom, learn a little bit about how we receive goods, why it's important that everything is kept refrigerated and kept in these places within there, just for the, so that everybody knows where things need to be for food safety. And food safety is a massive thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what that plate looked like that we sent out or how beautiful it was. If you're not being safe with the food from entry of the back door to that final customer, then you're not doing your part. And so as chefs, as culinarians, our job is to nourish people. Erase everything else. Our job is to provide nourishment to someone at the end of the day, that they're consuming a safe and healthy dish that is going to nourish their bodies to the next time they eat. And so creativity, all those things obviously fall into that at some point as well. But if you take all of that away and move it all the way down to nourishment, we need to make sure that those things are safe from back door all the way to plate. So I thought that was a very important step that someone learns. And then into production, how do we handle the foods once we bring them out of the cooler? How do we fabricate chickens? How do we do this with our beef tenderloins? And then sauce making and chopping herbs and all the little steps that need to be in there have to be a fundamental skill that everybody understands, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. And so if everybody has all those fundamental skills and understands the importance of those things, then we're going to have a very strong program. We're going to have a very strong restaurant and a very, very tight team. Passion and being humble. So I think that if someone comes in and they're passionate, they want to learn, they're willing to stay an extra 2 hours on overtime, realizing also that in this industry, especially in the beginning, you're not going to have holidays and weekends off. That is all gone. And that's a very important thing that I think that entry-level culinarians recognize, realize, and accept and embrace, because you can't request Thanksgiving off to be with your family anymore. And I'll tell you, I'm 45 years old. Last year, this is only my second Thanksgiving off in my lifetime. Wow. Since I graduated from culinary school, and only because I changed now over to R&D, where our program is a little bit different. As I work for a manufacturer and I do the research and development on the culinary side, our hours are different. So there are places out there that are going to provide those freedoms, but it's not in a restaurant, it's not in a country club hotel. Those are your busiest days of the year, and you need all hands on deck. And so if you can accept that and that's comfortable to you and you are fine celebrating the holiday a little bit differently, it's a great career path. And I think that that's an important thing to keep in mind. I think really make sure that your family is supportive of this and your friends are supportive of this, because it does require support. Coming from a family that has my brother works in computers, my mother was a nurse. She was always on call on Fridays and Saturday nights and was the same thing. She rarely had holidays off. It was some of that was already a little bit ingrained, but if you have someone that you're with or your family and they don't understand those expectations, it can be a little tough and it can be a little taxing to realize, hey, I'm working Thanksgiving again. Well, it's probably going to be that way for the duration of your career. And I think that just that transparency is important, that educators and all of us let young culinarians know that it's not really even about cutting your teeth at that point. It's about, we are service professionals providing a service for others to enjoy those things and being creative with it, and coming up with new mind-blowing ideas to put out for those events. That's where the excitement is, and know that it's a long road. It's definitely a career that you have to be very passionate about every little thing, and being passionate about repetition. You're always going to peel potatoes, and you're always going to repetitiously do these things, but that's what makes you really good at it at the end of the day. And if you want to be a very talented culinary and chef, owner, operator, you have to understand and really push yourself to grow with all of that. And I think that the more that is understood up front, the better you'll be in the future.